stop for a second. If someone says, "I don't like coffee," and your brain freezes, and you say, "Me too not," or "I don't like coffee too," this episode is exactly what you need. Today, in less than 30 minutes, we're going to fix 3 small words that cause huge confusion. Either, neither, and would rather. And not in a boring grammar way, but in real, everyday English that you can actually use in conversations starting today.
Yes. Because these words are everywhere. Native speakers use them constantly in daily life, at work, with friends, in restaurants, in casual conversations. But many learners avoid them because they feel unsure. They don't know when to use either or neither, or they say things like, "I don't want neither," and they're not sure why it sounds wrong. By the end of this episode, that confusion will disappear.
And here's the good news. Once you understand these 3 words clearly, your English will instantly sound more natural and more fluent. These are the kinds of words that make the difference between textbook English and real conversation English. So if you want to respond quickly, confidently, and without translating in your head, stay with us. This is going to be practical, clear, and powerful.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Speak English Every Day, the podcast where we help you speak naturally, confidently, and without fear. If you're new here, this is the place where grammar becomes simple, conversations become natural, and English feels less stressful and more enjoyable.
Exactly. We focus on real communication, not complicated rules, not memorizing long lists, but understanding how English actually works in daily life. And if you enjoy learning practical English step by step, make sure you follow the channel and share this episode with a friend who is also learning. Practicing together makes everything easier.
And today's topic is one that almost every learner struggles with at some point: either, and would rather. These words are small, but they carry a lot of meaning. They show agreement, disagreement, choice, rejection, and preference. In other words, they help you express your personality in English.
Okay, let's start with one of the most common mistakes I hear all the time. A student says, "I don't like pizza," and the other person answers, "I don't like pizza too." And technically, we understand what they mean, but it doesn't sound natural in English. The problem is simple. In negative sentences, we don't use to. We use either. This small change makes a big difference in how natural your English sounds.
Exactly. Let's slow it down and make it very clear. In positive sentences, we use to. For example, "I like pizza." "I like pizza too." Easy. But if the sentence is negative, the word changes. "I don't like pizza." "I don't like pizza either." That's the rule. Positive equals to. Negative equals either. When learners mix those, it creates confusion.
And the reason many learners make this mistake is because in a lot of languages, the same word works for both positive and negative agreement. So your brain wants to use one word for everything. But English separates them. Think of it like this. To joins positive ideas, and either joins negative ideas. Once you understand that contrast, it becomes much easier.
Let's make this practical. Imagine 2 coworkers talking. One says, "I'm tired." The other replies, "I'm tired too." Perfect. Now change it, "I'm not tired." The response must be, "I'm not tired either." Not too. Not also. Only either. And notice something important: either usually comes at the end of the sentence in this structure.
Yes, that's another detail learners sometimes forget. The structure is negative sentence plus either at the end. For example, "I don't understand." I don't understand either. Or she isn't coming. She isn't coming either. The position matters. If you put either in the wrong place, it sounds strange.
And here's something interesting. In informal American English, some people say me either. For example, I don't like horror movies. Me either. Grammatically, the more complete form would be either do I, which we'll talk about soon. But in casual conversation, me either is very common. So don't be surprised if you hear it.
Now let's compare clearly, because this is where confusion disappears. Positive. I like coffee. Response. I like coffee too. Negative. I don't like coffee. Response. I don't like coffee either. If you remember just that contrast, you're already avoiding one of the most common English mistakes.
And here's a quick mental trick. When you hear the word not in the sentence, your brain should automatically think either. It's like a signal. Negative sentence? Use either to agree. Over time, this becomes automatic, but at the beginning, it helps to consciously notice it.
Let's try a few more natural examples. I can't swim. I can't swim either. I'm not ready. I'm not ready either. We didn't finish the project. We didn't finish the project either. See how smooth that sounds? Short, clear, natural. That's exactly how native speakers agree in negative situations. Now that we understand how to use either at the end of a negative sentence, let's move one step forward and talk about a word that sounds a little more advanced. Neither. This is where many learners start to feel nervous, because the structure changes slightly. But don't worry. Once you see the pattern, it's actually very logical. Neither is another way to agree with a negative statement, but instead of repeating the whole negative sentence, you use a short structure with inversion.
Exactly. Let's take a simple example. Someone says, I don't like horror movies. You already know you can say, I don't like horror movies either. That's correct. But you can also say, neither do I. And that means exactly the same thing. The difference is structure. With neither, we don't repeat the full sentence. We start with neither, and then we change the word order.
And this change in word order is called inversion. Don't let that big grammar word scare you. It simply means we switch the auxiliary verb and the subject. Normally we say, I do. But after neither we say, neither do I. We don't say neither I do. That sounds wrong. The verb comes first, then the subject.
Let's break it down slowly. Sentence, I don't eat meat. To agree, you can say, I don't eat meat either. Or you can say, neither do I. Why do? Because the original sentence uses do as the helping verb, I do not eat. So we repeat that auxiliary verb in the inverted form. Neither plus do plus I.
Now let's try past tense. I didn't watch the movie. What's the agreement? Neither did I. Notice how we use did, because the original sentence used didn't. We follow the auxiliary verb. Present simple uses do/does, past simple uses did, and with be verbs we use am, is, are, was, were.
For example, I'm not ready. The response becomes, neither am I. Not either I am. The verb comes before the subject. Or, she wasn't at the meeting. Neither was I. The pattern is always the same. Listen for the helping verb, then invert it after neither.
Let's make it more natural with a small dialogue. Friend 1 says, I can't swim. Friend 2 responds, neither can I. or I can't swim either. Both are correct, but neither can I sounds slightly more advanced and more fluent. It's the kind of structure you hear often in real conversations.
Yes, and here's something important for beginners. If neither feels complicated at first, it's completely okay to use either at the end. I can't swim either is perfect. As your confidence grows, you can start using neither can I. Think of it as leveling up your English.
And one more example to make this crystal clear. We aren't prepared. Agreement. Neither are we. Or if you're speaking personally, neither am I. Again, the helping verb moves before the subject. Once you get comfortable with that inversion, you'll notice how elegant and efficient the structure is. So far, we've talked about either in negative agreement, meaning also not. But now let's explore a completely different meaning of either. And this is where many learners get surprised, because either doesn't only appear at the end of negative sentences. It also appears when we talk about choices. Specifically, one choice between two options. In this case, either means one or the other, but not both.
Exactly. And this use is extremely common in daily conversation. For example, if I say, you can sit either here or there, I'm giving you two options. You choose one. Not both chairs, just one. That's the key idea. Either introduces a choice between two possibilities.
Let's look at another example. We can either watch a movie or go for a walk. That means we must choose one activity. Maybe we don't have time for both. So either helps organize the options clearly. It prepares the listener. Okay, two choices are coming.
Now pay attention to structure. The most common pattern is either A or B. For example, you can either call me or send me a message. Notice where either appears before the first option. We don't say, you can call either me or send me a message. That sounds awkward. Position matters.
Yes, placement is important. Either usually comes before the first option in the pair. So, she will either study medicine or study law. Or even better, she will either study medicine or law. It makes the sentence balanced and clear.
And here's something learners sometimes misunderstand. Either in this structure does not mean also. It does not mean to. It only introduces choice. So don't confuse negative agreement either with choice either. Same word, different function. Context tells you the meaning.
Let's bring this into a natural situation. Imagine two friends planning dinner. One says, "Do you want pasta or sushi?" The other replies, "Either is fine." That means both options are acceptable, and I don't have a strong preference. I'm flexible.
That's such a useful phrase, either is fine. Or either one works. It shows flexibility and makes you sound relaxed and natural. You're not rejecting anything. You're simply saying you're okay with one of the two choices.
But notice something important. Either still refers to one option, even if you don't care which one. You're saying, one of them is okay. You're not choosing both. So the idea of one, not both, is always present when we use either for options. Now we're entering a part that creates a lot of confusion for learners. The structure neither, nor. Up to now, we've used neither to agree with a negative sentence, like, neither do I. But neither also works in a different way. When we use neither, nor, we are rejecting two options completely. Not this one and not that one. Zero options. It's a strong negative structure.
Exactly. If either, or means one of two options, then neither, nor means not the first option and not the second option. For example, neither tea nor coffee. That means I don't want tea, and I don't want coffee. Both are rejected. It's very clear and very firm.
Let's compare side by side so it becomes crystal clear. Either tea or coffee, I will choose one. Neither tea nor coffee, I choose none. See the contrast? One option versus 0 options. That's the core difference between these two pairs.
Now here's where many learners make a common mistake: double negatives. For example, some students say, I don't like neither of them. That sounds logical in some languages, but in Standard English, it's incorrect. Why? Because neither is already negative. You don't need another negative verb.
Exactly. You have two correct choices. You can say, I don't like either of them. Or you can say, I like neither of them. But you cannot combine don't and neither together in that way. English usually avoids double negatives in standard speech. So choose one negative form, not two.
Let's practice correcting this. Wrong, she doesn't want neither option. Correct, she doesn't want either option. Or, she wants neither option. See how we keep only one negative element? That keeps the sentence clean and grammatically correct.
Now let's talk briefly about verb agreement, because this can feel a little tricky. When we say, neither the teacher nor the students are here, the verb often agrees with the second subject, in this case, students, which is plural, so we use are. But if we say, neither the students nor the teacher is here, now the second subject is singular, so we use is.
That's right. In conversation, native speakers don't always think deeply about this rule, but it's helpful to understand it. The verb usually matches the noun closest to it. Still, at a beginner level, don't stress too much. Focus first on using neither nor correctly without double negatives.
Now we're moving into a structure that native speakers use all the time when they want to express preference in a more personal, emotional, or polite way: would rather. This expression is incredibly powerful because it goes beyond simple choice. It communicates desire, comfort, and even subtle comparison. For example, instead of saying, I prefer to stay home, a native speaker will often say, I'd rather stay home. It sounds softer, more natural, and much more conversational. Pay attention to the structure. Would rather plus base verb. No to. Just the base form. I'd rather go. She'd rather wait. We'd rather leave early. This structure helps you sound instantly more fluent because it mirrors how real conversations happen every day.
Exactly, and something very important to notice is how contractions make this expression sound even more natural. Native speakers almost always say, I'd rather instead of, I would rather. That small contraction changes everything in terms of rhythm and fluency. Now, let's look at comparisons. When you want to compare two actions, you use would rather than, for example, I'd rather drink coffee than tea. Or, she'd rather study at night than in the morning. Notice again, no to after rather, and the verb after than also stays in base form. This parallel structure keeps the sentence smooth and balanced, and mastering it will instantly upgrade your speaking confidence.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. We also use would rather to talk about preferences in specific situations, especially when making decisions. Imagine your friend says, do you want to watch a movie or go out? You might answer, I'd rather stay home tonight. That response doesn't just show preference. It reflects mood and personal choice. You can even use it to politely decline something. I'd rather not discuss that right now. That's softer than saying, I don't want to. So remember, would rather is not just grammar, it's social language. It helps you express yourself naturally, politely, and confidently in real-life English conversations.
All right, let's bring everything together in a complete, natural conversation, the kind you might actually hear between two friends deciding what to do on a Friday night. Listen carefully to how either, and would rather appear naturally, without forcing the grammar. Hey, are you free tonight? I was thinking we could either watch a movie at home or go out for dinner. I honestly don't mind either option, but I'd rather do something relaxing because this week was exhausting. I don't really feel like going somewhere crowded, and I don't want to spend too much money either.
Yeah, I completely understand. I'm tired too. I didn't sleep well last night, and I'm not in the mood for a loud restaurant either. Honestly, I'd rather stay in than go out. We could order food and watch something interesting. Neither of us wants to deal with traffic or long lines tonight, right?
Exactly. Neither do I. And I'd rather save some money anyway. Last weekend I spent way too much. So maybe we could either cook something simple or just order pizza. I don't feel like cooking for hours, though. I'd rather keep it easy.
Same here. I can't cook very well, and I don't enjoy it either. So ordering sounds perfect. Would you rather get pizza or sushi? I'm fine with either one, but I'd rather choose something that arrives quickly because I'm starving.
I'd rather get pizza than sushi tonight. Sushi is great, but it's a little expensive, and I'm trying to be more careful with my budget. Plus, neither of us ate very healthy this week, so one more slice of pizza won't make a big difference.
That makes sense. And honestly, I don't want to wait too long either. So pizza it is. After that, we can either watch a comedy or a thriller. I'd rather watch something funny though. I need to laugh after the kind of week I had.
I agree. I don't want to watch anything stressful either. Neither do I want something too serious. A comedy sounds perfect. I'd rather relax and enjoy the night instead of thinking about work.
Good. Then everything is decided. We're not going out, and we're not cooking either. We're ordering pizza and watching a comedy. Honestly, I'd rather spend a quiet night like this than go anywhere crowded. Sometimes the simple plan is the best plan.
And now we've reached the end of today's lesson, but this is actually where your real progress begins. If you noticed that some of these structures still feel a little unnatural when you say them out loud, that's completely normal. Fluency doesn't happen just by understanding, it happens through repetition and active use. So before you close this video, I'd rather you pause for a moment and think about one sentence you can create using either, one with neither, and one with would rather. Say them out loud. Train your mouth, not just your mind. That small habit will make a huge difference over time.
And if this lesson helped you finally understand these confusing structures, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend who's also learning English. You never know, they might be struggling with the same exact mistakes. Also, tell us in the comments. Would you rather study English in the morning or at night? And when someone says they're tired of grammar, do you say, me too, or me neither? Engaging in the comments is not just interaction. It's practice. Writing your own examples helps lock the structure into your memory.
And remember something important, making mistakes is not failure. Every fluent speaker you admire once said, I don't like it too, instead of, I don't like it either. Growth happens when you notice the mistake and correct it. So be patient with yourself. You're building a skill, and skills take time. But if you keep showing up, practicing, and listening actively, your progress will surprise you.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. We truly appreciate every single one of you who chooses to learn with us. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep challenging yourself. We'll see you in the next lesson. And until then, keep building your English confidence one conversation at a time.